Republicans sold the One Big Beautiful Bill as tax relief for working families. That was the promise. But tax cuts financed with debt do not disappear. They become someone else's bill. When Washington borrows more, families eventually feel it in mortgages, car loans, credit cards, and fewer future choices. The tax cut was the promise. The interest bill is the reality. Borrowed tax cuts do not disappear. When Washington cuts revenue without paying for it, the cost moves from campaign slogans to the family budget. Families eventually feel that in mortgages, car loans, credit cards, and fewer future choices. That is where the interest bill shows up. The debt matters because higher interest rates raise the cost of borrowing across the economy. That can affect whether a family can buy a home, whether a worker can afford a car, whether a credit card balance becomes a trap, and whether businesses slow hiring and investment. The mortgage market is one of the clearest ways interest rates reach the kitchen table. As Treasury yields rise, mortgage rates tend to rise too. And when mortgage rates rise, a family's income buys less house. A $300,000 mortgage at 3% costs about $1,265 a month in principal and interest. At 7%, that same mortgage costs about $1,996 a month. That is a difference of about $731 every month, or nearly $8,800 more per year. The house did not change. The neighborhood did not change. The family's need for a home did not change. The price of borrowed money changed. That difference is not theoretical. It can decide who buys a home, who keeps renting, who settles for less house, and who delays other life plans. Higher rates change real choices for real families. The same basic story applies to auto loans. For many families, especially in places where people drive to work, a car is not a luxury. It is how they earn a living, take children to school, reach medical care, and keep daily life moving. The danger is not necessarily one sudden crisis. It is more like a ratchet. Higher deficits require more borrowing. More borrowing can require higher interest costs. Those higher interest costs then add to the deficit. Each step may seem manageable, but together they reduce America's room to maneuver. The Congressional Budget Office projects that the annual federal deficit will total about $1.9 trillion in 2026 and rise to $3.1 trillion by 2036. Debt held by the public is projected to rise from 101% of GDP to 120%. Those numbers are too large to explain away with slogans. The modern debt problem did not come from one president, one Congress, or one party. Tax cuts reduced revenue. Wars were financed with borrowing. Healthcare and retirement costs grew. Recessions required emergency spending. Then COVID added another major shock. The 1990s matter because they showed what worked. The federal budget improved when Washington combined revenue increases, spending restraint, enforcement rules, and economic growth. That period proved that discipline is possible when leaders are willing to do honest math. Credit rating agencies have already warned that America's fiscal path is weakening. S&P downgraded the United States in 2011, Fitch followed in 2023, and Moody's did the same in 2025. Serious reform will require both parties to pay for tax cuts, pay for spending increases, review tax breaks honestly, and protect investments that strengthen future growth. The debt crisis may not arrive as one dramatic crash. It may come in slow motion: higher borrowing costs, larger interest payments, weaker confidence, and fewer choices for the future. America does not need debt panic. It needs debt discipline. Bills always come due.